How to permanently immigrate to Kenya as a US citizen or as a UK citizen or generally as a non-East African nationals citizen. That's what we want to talk about today. So if you are looking to immigrate to Kenya as a US citizen or as a UK citizen or as a European citizen, you want to stay to the very end of this video because today we are diving into a very exciting topic: how US citizens can permanently migrate to Kenya, how UK citizens can permanently migrate to Kenya, how Australian citizens can permanently migrate to Kenya, how European citizens can permanently immigrate to Kenya. So just put your citizenship there and then just follow closely. So if you are considering making Kenya your new home, stick around because we have all the information you need right here. And if you are seeing my face for the first time, welcome to the channel. My name is EvaMtalii. So first up, let's talk about permanent residency in Kenya. So permanent residence is provided for under Section 37, 38, and 39 of the Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Act 2011. And this section is domiciled in the Directorate head office within Nyayo House. Nyayo House is right by the CBD. It is a tall building, and the color of that building is exactly what I'm wearing. This is the color of that building. Another landmark is the GPO. So if you are around there, it is on Kenyatta Avenue. That is where this section is domiciled within Nyayo House, and it is headed by a Deputy Director of Immigration Services. The permanent residence status came into effect with the promulgation of the Kenyan Constitution in 2011. So generally, the process of acquiring a permanent residence in Kenya, you will have to submit your application online, and then you submit the supporting documents to the Director of Immigration Services HQ in Nairobi, Nyayo House ground floor, South Wing. And then, of course, you're going to wait for background checks to be done on you, and then permanent residence advisory committee interviews and recommendations, Director General's approval decision, notification of approval conveyed via EFNS portal account. That is where you're going to submit your application. And then if your application is approved, you will pay permanent residence issuance fees, and you're going to come to that in a bit. And then preparation and issuance of the certificate. So in terms of how to apply for your permanent residence, you're going to need to create an account and apply for permanent residence on the EFNS portal. And I'm going to leave a link in the description box at the bottom of this video, so don't worry about it. You're going to need to pay your processing fee. You need to upload the required documents, download the acknowledgement of application, and then you will receive an approval to pay the issuance fees once the permanent residence application is approved. And then you'll need to provide proof of payment to the permanent residence office by uploading your deposit slips, and then the certificate is issued to you in person. So now let's talk about the different categories under which you can get permanent residence in Kenya. So there's the first category. If, let's say, you are an ex-Kenyan. So remember, previously in Kenya, you could not have dual citizenship. So there are people who denounced their Kenyan citizenship in favor of a more favorable citizenship. Like, let's say if I was getting an American citizenship or UK or Australian, some people chose to denounce their Kenyan citizenship. So this first category is called Category A, and it applies to Kenyan citizens by birth who renounced or lost Kenyan citizenship and their country of domicile denied them the opportunity to hold dual citizenship. So the applicants are not required to undergo any background checks, and they are not required to appear before the Permanent Residency Advisory Committee. So they just do their online application on the EFNS portal. They pay a processing fee of 10,000. Then they will need proof of Kenyan citizenship, that is a birth certificate, ID card, passport, and then they'll need 2 recent size passport photos, police clearance certificate issued by the country of domicile, proof of current citizenship, this is through registration, or naturalization certificate and passport, and then proof of renunciation of Kenyan citizenship, applicant letter, and then the issuance fee is 15,000 Kenya shillings. That's about 100,000. Then we have the next category of applicants where a lot of you are probably going to be falling under. This is category B, where we have lawful residents. So here is whereby you as an applicant, you must prove that you have lawfully resided on work permit for a minimum of 7 years and with continuous 3 years residence in Kenya preceding your application for permanent residence. So you must demonstrate that you have been in Kenya for on work permit for at least 7 years, and you must have continuously stayed 3 years in Kenya before your application. And you must also demonstrate that you have a strong position to make tangible contribution to the social and economic development of Kenya. Hence, priority will be given to investors and highly qualified professionals. So you cannot just walk in broke with no serious professional qualifications and expect to get permanent residence or even citizenship. They will not give you. But, and I put a very big but, knowing this country, if you are well oiled, you may bypass some of this. And I say that on a very light note. So in this framework, applicants may be required to appear in person for interview to confirm or verify this fact. So applicants must fulfill the documentation requirements, and female spouses and children of permanent resident holders are not subjected to background checks. So the fee for this is 10,000 Kenya shillings. That's about, I think, $70 as at the shooting of this video. But talking about that one, there's an organization in Kenya called Kenya Investment Authority. I think it is a parastatal, and the short form is Ken Invest. And they have a one-stop center shop which is responsible for facilitating investment, offering investors with the kind of information they might need. And they also provide pre-investment and after care services to investors. So once you register with Ken Invest, you are entitled to an investment certificate upon request and facilitation in relation to foreign taxpayer registration, immigration services, National Environmental Management Authority, that is NEMA, Kenya Power and Lighting Services, Federation of Kenya Employers, and the whole shebang. So an investor who is registered with the Kenya Investment Authority obtains an investment certificate upon request, and you must prove that you have investment of at least 100,000 US dollars or its equivalent for an investor, and 1 million Kenya shillings or its equivalent for a local investor. So that's the minimum requirement. You must have at least 100,000 US dollars proof that as a foreign investor. So with this certificate, the investor benefits from initial issuance of any additional licenses that may be required for your operations, except for health, security, and environmental certificates for a maximum period of 1 year. So you as an investor, if you have 100,000, you can prove you have 100,000 US dollars for investment, you will be entitled to 3 Class D entry permits for management or technical staff, and 3 Class C, F, and G entry permit for owners, shareholders, or partners for a maximum period of 2 years. So let's see, what do these classes even mean? So the other way that you can get your, sorry guys, I'm referring to my notes. The other way that you can get this citizenship is and we'll come back to the one of lawful residents, children of Kenyan citizens, that is category C. So this applies to children born to Kenyan parents or a Kenyan parent but also hold another citizenship that does not allow dual citizenship, or if they were born before the parent acquired Kenyan citizenship. So the applicant and the spouse may be required to appear before the permanent residence application advisory committee during the processing cycle, okay? So the main document required here, different from what I've already talked about, is application letter by the parent, who must be a Kenyan citizen, okay? And then there must be proof of Kenya citizenship of either of the parents or both of them, yeah? If they're both Kenyans. And then you can also move to Kenya as a permanent resident as a spouse to Kenyan citizen, that is category D. So this applies to those who are married to a Kenyan citizen for a period exceeding 3 years, and the marriage is still valid. So you must prove that you have been together for at least 3 years and you're still married. So the applicant and the spouse may be required to appear before the Permanent Residence Advisory Committee during the processing cycle. So for the spouse of the Kenyan, you are required to do your application online, and you pay a fee of 5,000 Kenya shillings. You're going to need copies of all permits or dependent pass issued in Kenya, passports. You're going to need a copy of your marriage certificate, copy of joint affidavit if your marriage is solemnized outside of Kenya, good conduct certificate, valid tax compliance certificate, and copy of valid foreigner certificate, that is the alien card, and an application letter from your spouse. The issuance fee for this permanent residency is 50,000 Kenya shillings. Now, let me come back to, which one was this? Where is this? Yes, so the other citizenship that you can get in Kenya is citizenship by naturalization. So this is whereby foreign nationals who have resided in Kenya for at least 7 years and have contributed to the country's economic, social, or cultural development can apply. So you have to prove that you have continuously lived in Kenya for the last 7 years. You must demonstrate having integrated into Kenyan society. And one of the easiest way to prove this is speaking the Kiswahili, which is the local language, or being married to a Kenyan or marrying a Kenyan citizen. And the fee is going to vary because there's going to be processing fee, there's going to be legal fees and all that. But generally, you must prove eligibility based on either marriage or certificate, marriage certificate, or investment documents or work permits. Those are the ones you're going to prove to show that you've actually contributed, you've integrated into the society. And then for most applications, you're going to require medical examination. I've talked about the police clearance certificate. So all that is going to be required of you. And then what's the other one? Yeah, if you've held a Kenyan work permit continuously for at least 7 years consecutively, you can apply for permanent residency, and the processing fee is approximately 5,000 US dollars. So if you've been having a Kenyan work permit for at least 7 years, then you can apply. Now, guys, here's the thing. So generally, for you to apply for these visas and immigrate to Kenya permanently, you are going to have to really, I don't even know how best to say this without being offensive, but we Kenyan citizens actually struggle to get a document as basic as a passport without bribing. Like, I know people who applied for their passports in 2023. We are now in 2024, mid shooting this video, and they still don't have the passports until the bribe. And even after you have bribed, you have to wait even for a month or two. So you who is not even a Kenyan and you want to get citizenship or permanent residence, I can tell you for free, it's going to take beyond these fees that I've talked about. And I don't want to delve too much into that because I don't want to get into trouble. But all I can say, best of luck. And in my experience, the easiest ways you can move permanently to Kenya would be on an investor permit. That would be very easy because right now our government does not have jobs for its people. So if you're going to pump in 100,000 US dollars into the economy, they will love you. Okay. So that is one of the easiest ways to do it. But again, so I would advise you to go through the Kenya Invest because they are going to help you out. I just hope they don't ask you for bribes. It's Kenya, guys. And then the other one is the naturalization one, where I've talked about, if you've been in Kenya continuously for 7 years and you can prove for the last 3 years before the application you've actually been in the country. So if you have work permits, if you can get a job in Kenya and work continuously for 7 years on a work permit, that makes it easier for you. And then another easier one, which is it's easy on paper, but I've seen a lot of people complaining, is whereby you marry a Kenyan citizen or you get married to a Kenyan citizen. But what I have heard from the rumor mills, it is easier for a lady who is married to a Kenyan man to get citizenship or permanent residence than it is for a man who marries a Kenyan lady to get citizenship or permanent residence. That's what I hear. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I hear. But I think it's an easier route on paper for you to pursue. So I hope this is helpful for anybody who is contemplating moving to Kenya. It is a beautiful country. That one I can tell you for sure. And my advice for you, when you come here, please have either a job lined up or a business, or at least some decent source of income, because Kenya is miserable if you don't have money. But it is a beautiful place to be in if you have your own money. The other advantage you have as a foreigner in Kenya, we are a capitalist system to the core. So we don't have regulations on property ownership. You are allowed to buy property, from land to housing to anything. You are allowed to buy property. The only thing I know for land, you cannot get land on freehold, but you can get on leasehold, and leases can be renewed. So feel free when you come, at least if you're planning to move permanently, get yourself a house. You don't want to be paying rent, because where you might want to live, where you'll be comfortable, is not where, for example, your average wananchi would be. You might want to stay in an upmarket area, and it's just going to be easier for you to buy the house. And the other advantage you have, because let's say if you're moving from the US or you're moving from Europe or Australia, you already have foreign currency. So if you exchange that money to Kenyan money, you automatically have more buying power. So you who is coming from your country, you're going to have more advantage than if I was buying, let's say I have Kenya shillings and I want to buy the same house. I would also encourage you, once you arrive, go and get yourself a bank account and don't just go for any bank. So there are some, they haven't paid me, so I'm not going to talk about them, but you can try banks like Standard Chartered Bank. You can try Absa Bank, because they are international banks. So they already understand basic things, like let's say if you are in the US and you'll be trying to move your money, they won't have that red flag, because they mostly serve elite clientele. So they are already used to having big monies in foreign currency. So while they might flag your account, it will be easier to explain to them why you're having $200,000 moving from the US than if you went with a local Kenyan bank, for example. And yeah, so just be careful. And then the other thing is, when you come here, just have an open mind. Kenya is a very cosmopolitan country, especially the bigger cities, Nairobi, Kisumu. And because we are so cosmopolitan, the moment you arrive, people won't even know if you are a visitor or you've been here since before 1963, before the colonialists came. Generally, especially if you're in Nairobi and Mombasa, you won't get stares or anything. You just mind your business. Nobody really will bother you. Just the normal stuff. Be street smart. Be careful. Learn people. Don't be too trusting. And I would advise you to learn the language. I always tell people when you move to a new place, especially if you're looking to move permanently, learn the language, yeah? I offer Kiswahili services, so you can reach out to me if you're interested in learning Kiswahili. I offer Kiswahili language lessons and I do them online. So that means you can learn from any part of the world you're at and from whatever time you're at. I'm very, very flexible. I will leave a link in the description box at the bottom of this video. You can book a class with me and I'll be more than happy to teach you my local language. So guys, I hope this was really helpful for you. And this video was inspired by one of my viewers who sent me a message on my DM. I hope this answers your question. If there's anything else you would want me to cover, please do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section below, but also feel free to send me a message and I will do a more in-depth video. So thank you for staying till the very end of this video. I will see you on the next one.